how would you like to make your first million? And today we have John, a direct response expert. So, John, tell us, what are the 5 steps to make your first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
What are the 5 steps? Look, I can tell you the 5 steps to make your first million, and then having been through this a few times, the 5 steps to easily lose that first million. Being an entrepreneur, yes, I've been on the roller coaster like most entrepreneurs, and sometimes you think, oh, could I get off the roller coaster and get onto the merry-go-round? It would be a lot easier. But I'm sure I speak for you, Harry, when I say that if you're an entrepreneur, you just have to get used to the roller coaster.
Absolutely.
5 steps. Look. I don't think any one of these will be earth-shattering. So I'm not saying that these 5 steps are something that only I subscribe to, because I think it's really 5 steps that everyone should subscribe to, and probably most do. Number one, you've got to surround yourself with the right people. And the mistake I made when I was in my 20s and 30s was that I surrounded myself with people who kept on asking me, oh, why? Why would you do that? Why would you do this? And it wasn't until I got probably mid-30s that I realised that I should hang around people who said, why not? Oh, yeah, look, John, why not? Now, I'm not saying that people should support you if you've got an absolutely stupid idea, but if you've got a creative mind and you are an entrepreneur, surround yourself with people who are willing to, support you and give you a pat on the back. People who say, oh, why not? Give it a shot. So that's number one, surround yourself with the right people. Number two, make sure that you're solving a problem. Now, whatever your product is, whether it's a vacuum cleaner or whether it's a bicycle or whether it's a microwave oven, make sure that you're solving someone's problem, okay? Without that, it's very difficult to sell your product. Number three, and that is don't sell on price, okay? Try and avoid selling on price, because someone's going to have a Me Too product like yours perhaps down the road, and if you sell on price, they're going to beat you in 5 minutes. And so therefore my mantra, and I guess it's courtesy of the business that we're in, we're a direct response marketing agency called the Institute of Wow. We teach people not to sell on price, but to rather differentiate their product with a wow factor. Maybe a value add offer. It might be that when you buy a certain product, you get a point, and when you save 2 or 3 points, you get a free dining voucher, or you get fuel discounts, or whatever it might be, okay? Number four, in terms of, I guess, making your first million, then and I know it's not going to happen unless you reinvest. And so therefore, if you've hit a home run and your product or service, whatever it is doing well, you have to reinvest in marketing and advertising. Look, the butcher who has a sausage sizzle outside his butcher shop is always going to beat the guy across the road who closes his butcher door to keep the air conditioning in. And so therefore I keep on saying to people, look, if you've hit a home run, you think you've got a good product or service, reinvest into marketing, and you can't sell a secret. So put money into marketing. And the fifth one is rinse and repeat. Basically once you've got the model, and we all know that doesn't happen overnight, but once you've tested and fixed, your Facebook advertising or your newspaper advertising or your Instagram, whatever it might be, once you've actually fine-tuned that, just rinse and repeat. Just repeat it.
Well, John, these 5 steps are amazing, and let's dig down in one that I think that is really, really powerful, and a lot of entrepreneurs don't focus in, or don't understand the power and and how to get this right from the beginning. And let's talk about price, yeah, because when we are start as entrepreneurs, we don't know. We have to learn things. But the first mistake that a lot of us, including me, made along the road, along this roller coaster that you described, is price. So yep. I remember that there was a crisis in 2008. Back then, I have a property business. We managed to sell over 5 million. And because it was a crisis and people were losing their jobs, I thought that was a good idea to drop the price. And it was a very painful experience, because at the end of the day, I decreased the price, and then my room's still empty. So the problem was not the price. The problem was my lack of capacity to attract clients, basically marketing.
Yep.
And I dropped the price, and this didn't solve the problem. Actually increased it, because now I'm bringing less money to the business, and stress the business and put the business in a really, really bad situation. Literally, I lost millions because of this. So
Really.
so I learned this lesson in the hard way. So what message do you have for the entrepreneurs to that? Because let's face it, human beings, we don't buy on price. If we buy on price, look the cars that everybody's driving, look the clothes that everybody's wearing, the shoes that everybody's wearing, the watch. So no, only 20% buy on price. I think people only buy on price things that are not important for them. But if something is really important for them, they will never ever buy on price. So why us as entrepreneurs have tendency to say, "Oh, I want more clients. Let me make it cheaper." So what message do you have for the entrepreneurs regarding pricing, John?
Well, I think you probably said it, Harry. The thing is that if you market your product or service on price, then the guy down the road will be able to beat you in 5 minutes. I mean, let's face it, most businesses are in what we call a Me Too industry. So if you're into solar, there's probably a dozen other companies out there in your particular geographic area that are selling solar. If you're a furniture shop, I bet you've got 3 or 4 competitor furniture shops. Very, very few people have a unique product or service where there's no competitors. So if you've got lots of competitors and you drop your price from $300 to $199, there's a pretty good chance that one of those competitors will say, okay, well, we can match that and we'll beat it. So we'll drop to $175. And normally it's the biggest competitor that can wipe you out, because, if you're up against Kmart and you're a small little store, then good luck. If you think you're going to beat Kmart on price, then you need, some psychotherapy. You're not going to beat them, right? And so therefore, if you said, look, buy my products or services and I will give you an incentive, I'll give you a reward, and that could be a dining voucher, it could be a free holiday, it could be fuel discounts, it could be a movie ticket. If you give people a reward, then your big 40-ton gorilla will be having committee meetings for 6 months to try and work out how to match that. Whereas if you have a price discount, bang, they'll beat you in 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I think that we human beings, right? When we buy, we look for something that we call value. Yeah, when my girlfriend Lily goes to buy dresses, and go with her, I don't like to go. The reason is because she goes inside one shop, she sees one dress, she goes out, she goes to another one. So while she's doing this process, I'm analyzing her buying behavior.
Yep.
It's always at the result of that experience in Oxford Street in London, which is a lot of the stores there, that in the end, sometimes we have to come back to, if we check 20 shops or 20 stores, maybe we need to come back to number 5 and get the dress from there. So it's curious that the winning dress sometimes is not the most expensive, never the cheapest. And she goes inside the shop, look at the dress, touch it, look at the dress, the design, goes out. So I think at the end of the day, what she's looking is for value. What is the most value?
You got it.
Money. As entrepreneurs, if we want to sell our product to a price that is suitable for us and give us good margin, we have to focus in something that is a secret recipe, which is high perceived value at the low cost to you. Because so John, what tips do you have to create what we call it high perceived value at the low cost? Because if you create high perceived value or high value to your product, but it's to a high cost, that's gonna hit your margins. So, what are the secrets to create?
As you can tell from my accent, I'm from Australia. We have clients around the world, but yeah, most of our clients are in Australia, of course. And I've over the years provided value add incentive promotions for McDonald's and KFC and 7-Eleven and
Wow.
came up, yeah, all these big businesses. And some years ago, I had a client called the Greater Building Society down under. They were a bank, and they were up against the big banks here in Australia, the Wells Fargo sort of banks. I mean, they weren't called Wells Fargo, but
Wow.
Anyone listening in America would know that the Wells Fargo bank is big. So this smaller bank called the Greater contracted me to help them get more market share for home loans. And when I had a look at their business, basically they were trying to beat the 40-ton gorilla by discounting their interest rates. And I said, you're not going to win that fight. The big banks will beat you. And so therefore I was doing some TV commercials at the time for a travel discount company. So I introduced them and we stopped giving away a honeymoon rate. As you probably would know, most banks worldwide, when you get a home loan from them, they entice you to come on because they give you a 1% break for the first year. And then, of course, it goes back up after the first year. So I said, listen, why don't you do this? Why don't you give them that 1% and give it to the travel company? And from now on, when someone swaps their home loan from one of the bigger banks across to you, you give them a free holiday. Okay. And it went nuts. We're talking billions and billions worth of extra loans. So we just came on TV and social media. And we said, get a home loan, get a free holiday. And it went so well that 3 or 4 years into it, I got Jerry Seinfeld to do the ads. So I flew backwards and forwards to New York and we had Jerry Seinfeld come on TV here in Australia and he would say, swap your home loan from the big banks, come across to the Greater and get a free holiday. And once we had Jerry Seinfeld doing it, it went through the stratosphere. And this idiot who you're talking to, Harry, charged a consultancy fee instead of a percentage of the increase in home loans. I wished I'd charged a percentage instead of a damn consultancy fee.
Oh my God.
And so what happened?
That was a brilliant idea, John. Brilliant idea.
Yeah, well, look, the reason I'm telling you that story is because this came about as a result of it. And what I've got in my hand here is a vacation voucher at the moment, which we give businesses for $50 and it's worth $1,000. And the reason that I bring this up is because having done all the McDonald's and KFC promotions over the years, I know the people who came up with the Happy Meal toy. They came up with the Happy Meal toy 45 years ago.
Wow.
They live in Trump Tower now. It's an Australian couple. And of course, when you or anyone goes to McDonald's and buys a Happy Meal, of course, we know that's for the toy. I've got 6 children; they're all grown up and left home now.
Oh, tell me about it. My nephew goes crazy.
Yep,
The greatest. What an amazing way to create high perceived value, and more than that, to create an experience. It's not about the burger anymore, right?
That toy only cost them 20 cents. So when you say low cost, high perceived value, that toy cost them 20 cents. And in Kmart, that toy is worth $5. So that's why it works, because the parents or grandparents, when they're buying a Happy Meal, they know that toy is worth $4 to $5 in Kmart. That's why it works. And what happened is that after I did the Seinfeld campaign, we had a company contact us just before COVID, and they said, look, we've got access to unsold hotel rooms right throughout the UK and Europe, right throughout America, Southeast Asia, Mexico, you name it. And these hotels are happy to give up their rooms for free outside of school vacations because they hope whoever stays there will spend money on food and beverage. And they said, look, we've seen your Seinfeld campaign. You look like you've got half a clue when it comes to marketing. We've got these hotel rooms. You want to join forces. So, what we do now is we provide this to businesses whereby they give us $50 for a vacation voucher and they use that vacation voucher as a Happy Meal toy to get people to buy their refrigerator or their lawn mowing services or whatever they're selling, right? We have a dentist practice that's a client at the moment who specialises in Invisalign braces, and that's the invisible braces, mainly for children's teeth. And what happens is that they say, look, get a $5,000 invisible braces and we'll give you a free holiday. They've doubled their turnover in 2 months just by giving away a free holiday with every set of braces.
Yeah. So that's this, John, is fantastic because, like I say, if you can combine this adding value with an experience, now the whole is, again, it's a high perceived value at a low cost in this case, maybe no cost to you because the hotel is actually
Yeah.
promoting
Well,
the hotel.
Harry, the way we make money out of it, we get the hotel rooms for free. So therefore, when we charge the business $50 for the voucher, our expenses are our operational expenses and the commission we pay the travel company, because the travel company came up with this, but I'm the one that put it together the way that we do it. So we actually we sell this to businesses right around the world, in the UK and Europe and America. And basically what happens is that, the business uses this just like a Happy Meal toy. So when I'm promoting this on a webinar or I'm on stage at a seminar, I say to everyone in the room, look, would you be willing to give up 10% of your sale price if we could double or triple your business overnight? And of course, everyone puts their hand up. And I said, well, now, courtesy of Groupon, you know that if you have a 10% sale, nobody gives a rat's. I mean, 10% is not going to get anyone's attention when Groupon is 50%. And they go, yes. I said, well, how would you like something like this whereby it's worth $1,000, but you buy it for $50 and you say to someone, spend $500 with me and I'll give you a free vacation. So when someone spends $500 with you, I know you guys are on pounds and shillings and pence, but just say $500, then guess what? If you've spent $50 on the Happy Meal toy, which is the voucher, and you're giving it to people who spend $500, it's equivalent to a 10% discount, but is 4,000 times more powerful.
Wow, that's amazing. And then, John, and let's talk about this, and let's talk about experience, because I have taken my nephew to McDonald's, and this like exactly the toys that he gives. Oh no, he already knows what he's gonna get, So the chances that he wants to go to another place to eat is he likes to go there because he knows how he walks away with a toy, and it's all about arriving and opening the toy and play with it. And sometimes they give us the other day a crown also, which is made of paper, so it doesn't cost that much. But he's wearing the crown and wearing the crown. He opening the toy, and then okay, we have the meal and we left. And I'm thinking, wow, what an experience for the kid. And I remember once the Butcher Arab is a 7-star hotel in Dubai, looked like a sale. And I remember that I called once. It was the birthday of my girlfriend Lily, and I want to take her to a special place, yeah. And so I called and I booked the hotel, right? So I booked the hotel, and then I said to Lily, okay, Lily, let's go for dinner. We're gonna go to this place that is amazing. This is a present for your birthday. So after having dinner, guess what happened? When the dessert came, yeah, the employees came with a mini cake and they sing a happy birthday. And I was shocked. I was surprised how they managed to actually do a cake special for her, and it was a very luxury. It's a 7-star hotel. And the reason for that is that when we're booking, they asking me my name and my date of birth, and also her name and date of birth. So they knew, the system already knew that was her birthday. And therefore, they decided to do this wow experience to give her a cake, which actually I wasn't expecting that. But it creates such a wow effect to me that I've been telling the story for years in front of thousands of people. I do conferences all over the world to a business and entrepreneur to grow the business. And I always tell the story. So imagine how much free publicity they have got from me, the Bush Al Arab, just by creating this wow experience, because I'll tell the story literally in front of thousands and thousands and thousands of people because of this wow effect. And I've seen that this is one of the reasons why they're 7-star hotel. They have this wow effect to all the clients already embedded in the culture of the business. So how important, John, do you think that, and I'm glad that your company also specialize in create this wow. How important in the competitive marketplace do you think that is for companies to create just not an experience, but to have that wow experience that the client
Yeah, well,
will never forget?
I'm,
Because if
I'm
you achieve that, you will have free publicity forever.
I'm biased because my business is called the Institute of Wow.com. So of course I'm biased towards giving wow factors. I've done a lot of courses at Disney in Orlando. So not many people know this, but Disney have their own university in Orlando. It's called the Disney Institute. And as a business person, you can actually spend a week with Disney's Imagineers. These are the people who dream up all their rides in the movies.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've spent quite a bit of time with Disney, and they call wow factor marketing, which is what you and I are talking about right now, they call it +1. So what they do is that they encourage their staff and their management to push the envelope to the level where they've over-delivered on their promise. And then at the end of that, when they're exhausted, they still +1, okay?
Wow.
And they have research to show that when people go home from Disney World or Disneyland or any park, any Disney park, they don't talk about the rides. They talk about, guess what? The experience. They talk about the experience. And it's the experience normally that's the wow factor. My story, like yours in the hotel, is that at most hotels around the world are run by left-brained people. And left-brained people tend to be accountants or operational people. They don't tend to be creative people. And that's why they don't give you a plate of chocolate strawberries when you go to your room. If you said to me, how could you fill the empty rooms in a hotel quickly? Really, really easily. And that is that, we had a hotel here in Australia and I gave them this idea and they used it. And that is that when anyone checked in and went up to their room, within 5 minutes, there was a knock on the door. And when they opened the door, there was one of the staff all dressed up in the bow tie and so forth with a silver tray. And on that silver tray was chocolate coated strawberries. Okay. And of course, the guests, their eyes became the size of saucepans, and they said, what's this all about? And they just said, we know that you could have chosen any other hotel on the Gold Coast in Australia. You chose our hotel, and we just want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts, blah, blah, blah. Now, that blows everyone away. Guess what those strawberries cost? This chocolate-coated strawberries, so we're talking a little punnet of strawberries from the supermarket, all cut up into little pieces, so it looks like it's bigger than what it is, and then just a little bowl of chocolate sauce, okay? It costs $2.50 for all of that, okay? $2.50.
Wow.
That hotel on social media became the Chocolate Strawberry Hotel. And that meant that when anybody came to the Gold Coast, where do you think they'd go? If they'd been there once and they got served the chocolate strawberries, do you think they're going to stay at any? Do you think they're going to look at the price of the other hotels?
Absolutely no. Everybody.
So your story is good, but they are still idiots in my mind because they're only rewarding you on your birthday. Reward everyone 365 days a week,
100%.
Absolutely. And so therefore, why would you just reward someone on their birthday? That's nice, but it's not a wow factor in my mind. That's just silly to only give that out during the birthday. It's better than nothing, don't get me wrong. But give it out. I mean, can you imagine if McDonald's said, okay, we'll get a Happy Meal, and it's your birthday, there'll be a toy inside, okay? Otherwise, it's not.
You're going to be losing a lot of business, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, Kellogg's cornflakes. I mean, I grew up in the era with the Flintstones and the Jetsons, and I remember pulling mum's, sleeve on whatever dress she had on, saying, Mummy, I want cornflakes because the Flintstones toy or the Jetsons toy are inside. Kellogg's and McDonald's have been doing this, what we call incentive-based marketing, for 50 years. And the reason they do it is that it works. And the crazy part about it is 97% of businesses worldwide don't do it. Amazon does it. They have a Prime membership club that if you're a member of Amazon Prime membership, then you get free shipping, free movies and free music and all that sort of stuff. The local little corner coffee shop probably does it. Yet I bet you most of your listeners or viewers of this don't do it. They give you a little reward card, and when you get a coffee, you get a stamp, and when you get 10 stamps, you get a free coffee. But you know what? Hardly anyone else does it because it's too easy to drop their pants.
Then, at the end of the day, the secret is to create this high perceived value at the low cost and to do something amazing, something unique that enhance the experience of the client. So now, John, tell us how you become an entrepreneur and why you decide that you're going to make your life mission to create this wow effect for other entrepreneurs. When do you have your aha moment that say, wow, this is what I want to help people with? And in the first place, why do you become an entrepreneur? There is anybody entrepreneur in your family? Do you have a friend? You watch a TV show? What happened?
Yeah, look, I guess, growing up into my teenage years, I was doing art at school, and so therefore I was always of a creative bent. I must say that spreadsheets are not really something that I get very excited about, even though you should. But like most creative people, we tend to be ready, fire, aim instead of ready, aim, fire. Much to the chagrin of my wife, because having 6 kids, we've got 6 children, they're all grown up and left home now, but we had the Von Trapp family, a large family. And yeah, that roller coaster ride was, we're okay now. But, when you're an entrepreneur, you tend to bet on the next project. And sometimes that next project might not be a winner like the one before it. So I give my wife a gold medal for putting up with me. But yeah, back in the school days, I was creative. And so then when I left school, I did the advertising and marketing degrees at university and learned nothing, by the way. I mean, you go to university and there's just a teacher who's been there for 100 years and, he or she has never been out in the marketplace. But you think at that age, that's what you've got to do. And it's not what you've got to do. You'd be better to get a job as an assistant and learn from the experts. And what happened is that I then, in my early 20s, got a job with a big supermarket chain here in Australia called Woolworths. And what we would do is that we would steal all of the ideas out of Tesco in UK and run them in Australia. And so in that particular era, which was, I guess, pre-digital, you might recall that Tesco were very good at doing what they call continuity promotions. And that was that every time someone spent, let's call it Australian currency dollars, every time someone spent $10, they got a stamp and they licked the stamp and put it onto a saver sheet. And when they got 10 stamps, they got cookware and glassware for ridiculously good prices, okay? Straight out of Tesco in London, all right? And then we did a lot of big scratch games where people could win $100,000, all this sort of stuff. And when I saw that this artificial wow factor stuff was making such an impact to the Woolworths supermarket turnover, I thought, hang on, I've learned enough here. I think I might leave and set up my own show. And so that's what happened. I was lucky enough to use the big supermarket chain's budget as a crash test dummy. And when I could see how powerful this artificial wow factor marketing was, I say artificial, you see, the thing is that these guys, iPhone, they don't need my help. They've got an organic wow factor in that product. There's no other phone like the iPhone. And so therefore they don't need my help, Tesla doesn't need my help because they've got an organic wow factor with their electric cars. But if you are a solar dealer and you're exactly the same as all the other solar dealers, you need my help or someone like mine help. And that's what we do. We tend to sort of help people who are in a very busy industry by showing them how to distinguish themselves and stand out without price discounting.
Then, John, you touched something very important that I want to talk about is between university and the real life of the entrepreneur. Yeah, I usually meet people that they're gonna spend a lot of money, 60,000, 100,000 in an MBA, and I always tell them, look, yeah, one of my business was a restaurant. I opened a restaurant. I lost 200,000 pounds in that venture. It was a big disaster. Yeah. So I always telling to the people, right, if you really want to have a very good MBA, take this money and open a restaurant in a very busy place, in a place where there are lots of restaurants, and try to make it work. This is going to be greatest use of your MBA rather than go to school. So what's your view on this, John, and why do you think that what we learn in school is way far from what actually happened in reality for us entrepreneurs?
Yeah, mostly it's a waste of time. If you're, in the creative mindset, and look, the fact is the statistics show that less than 2% of people are logically creative. There's a lot of people creative. They can paint, or they can use clay and create sculptures. A lot of creative people, but we're talking logically based creative people, and that is people who can come up with an idea and put logic behind it. E.g., the chocolate strawberries at the hotel. I mean, if someone just said, "Oh, look, let's give everybody on a Friday chocolate strawberries," I would say, "Look, please leave the meeting, because why would you only do it on a Friday, right?" So I think what I've got, and I'm showing off a little bit, but I think I've got logic behind everything. Well, for example, I'll give you an example. You won't learn this at university. We had a client recently who has a hairdressing salon. It was a little country town. and she'd been the only hairdresser in town for 25 years. And all of a sudden, another lady came to town and opened up a hairdressing salon opposite her. And so she came to one of my webinars and she joined up the program. And she said, look, I've got a big problem here. She said, I used to charge $55 for men's haircuts, and the lady who's opened up across the road has stolen all of my men. She does men's haircuts for $10. I went, oh, gosh. And she said, so therefore all the men, because men don't care where they get the haircut, they go to a butcher, right? They go across the road and, they're using her. And she said, what happens is that the wives of those men, where we really make our money because they spend $200 or $300 on a hair thing, they're going with them. And I said, oh, okay. So she said, what do I do? Do I do Facebook advertising? Do I run contests? I mean, how do I combat men's haircuts for $10? I said, well, look, leave it with me. And 2 days later, we fixed it, and we fixed it within, like a heartbeat. We just put a sandwich board outside her shop, and that sandwich board said, we fix $10 haircuts. And that is not, you're not going to learn that at university. You're not going to learn that sort of thinking. And so we think outside the square. For example, I've got a hotel client at the moment. When we talk about hotels, they are here in Australia and they're running at 30% occupancy. And they say, look, how do we fill the rooms? They've got something like about 160 rooms to fill, and they're only filling 30% of them at the moment. And I said, pretty easy. We've done this many, many times with hotels. We'll just know that their biggest audience are travel agents. And even though some people book directly online, the biggest audience are travel agents. So what we've done before, and we'll do it for this hotel, is that we say to the travel agent, listen, we know you can book anyone into any hotel, but as long as you book them into our hotel, for every night you book them in, you're in $1 million draw. And so therefore the travel agent goes, what? And we say, yeah, well, it's $1 million draw. And that's one of the insured price promotions. And so therefore I can get $1 million for about 23,000. And what happens is that, that hotel then says to all the travel agents, listen, book people into our hotel, and for every night you book them in, you get a ticket into the $1 million draw. We've taken hotels from 32% to 100% occupancy within 24 hours, and they stay there for 3 months.
Wow, that's brilliant. That's a great strategy. And I think, John, that for the entrepreneurs is, at the end of the day, there is no shortcut. The more you practice, the better you become. To become an entrepreneur is skills. So it's like driving a car or swimming. You don't read this, you don't learn this in a book or in school. Basically, it's a skill based. So the more you practice, the better you become. There is no other way around. And that's why...
Harry, I think you would probably agree with me too, is if you've got a sore tooth, go to a dentist. And the thing is that most business owners come out of university or college as a very good technician. So they're a good butcher, baker, candlestick maker, but no one's ever taught them how to get customers. So, we've got a lot of dental practices that have come on, and you won't get, anyone more intelligent than a dentist or a doctor. They're pretty smart. But they're asking us, they're begging us, can we get more patients for them? And I say to them, when you did your doctor's course at university or your dental course or your physiotherapy or whatever, did they ever teach you how to get customers? The answer is no. They taught them how to be a good physiotherapist. So the fact is, chances of them picking up this marketing stuff and doing it themselves is very remote. We know that. So what we do now is exactly what I've just been describing. We know they're never going to implement. I've spent so much time coaching a lot of these businesses, and I have to come to the reality that they just will never implement. Not because they're silly or not because they don't want to. They don't have time. They've got too many things in their technical business that they're running. They're running a lawn mowing business, or they're running a dental practice. And so what we do now is that we understand that, and we just give it to them on a silver platter. And that's why I say, if you've got a sore tooth, go to a dentist, because if they need marketing, just go to a marketing company and get the damn stuff done for you, because if you're not a marketer, you're not a marketer.
And then John, now let's talk about something which is common error, that entrepreneurs makes regarding marketing and sales. I think that if you don't sell the product, you have nothing. It doesn't matter how much the product you are. And again, most entrepreneurs, or some entrepreneurs, they are what we call a product centric. So they create the product and they put all the time, energy, money, and effort to creating this amazing product that save the world, and they mortgage the house, they ask all the money for the friends, family, put all the time to develop this amazing product, and then when they don't have any money and they're not even sure if this product in that form is what the market wants to buy, now they come and said, John, help me. And you are like, guys, how can I gonna help you if you haven't allocated resources to this part of the business, which is key in order for you to get the product market fit. I mean, the question, how to make your first million, 0 to 1, is all about that actually, because if your product is market fit, and you will have your first million, right? So, John, in your opinion, how much percentage of the budget that entrepreneurs have they should allocate, so people can have in their head, entrepreneurs can have in their head exactly what proportion of the budget they absolutely have to allocate to marketing and sales, because the journey of get the product market fit sometimes is no a short journey. I already interviewed over 500 millionaires in this podcast. Still, I haven't found yet anybody that told me, hey, Harry, you know what? I created this product, and exactly how I created, people bought it, and I became a millionaire. I'm still waiting for no one yet has told me that, right? So, of course, to get that product market fit, marketing is the big piece of it, and sales, because you will put the product in front of people. People will tell you if they like it or not, and then you come back to the entrepreneur and say, listen, we have to change the product. People like it, but if we don't improve it, X, Y, and Z, they don't want to buy it in this form. The other day in this podcast, I interviewed a guy that invented a device that check the times, right, of every employee doing the task, and he created this device, and he was going to the lawyers, to everybody, look, this is the device, do you want to buy the device? And everybody said that was great, that's amazing, but nobody bought any of them. And what happens at the end of the day, what they bought from him was the service, because they didn't care about the machine. They care about the result that the machine produced, so they were buying a service from them. So now, John, but if people don't have budget, how you can realize how your clients want to buy the product? So there's two questions in one. One, this one, how much budget? Okay, let me ask you this one first, and then I'm gonna ask you another one. Okay, so how much percentage of the total money? Let's say if you have $100 and you have a business, in your opinion, how much percentage should be allocated for marketing and sales?
Look, I get asked this question a bit, and there is no set percentage because it just depends on the business and essentially what their margins are. So, for example, Woolworths Supermarket, which was the company I was telling about before that I worked with 1,000 years ago, they are the Tesco of Australia. Okay, so they're turning over billions and billions. So they're big. They're very big, and so therefore their advertising budget will be probably less than 2% of their turnover. However, if you are a small business and your turnover might be, and I'm talking dollars, I know you guys are in pounds, but let's just say you're turning over, a few $100,000, then your marketing budget, if you've got good margin, can be as high as 15, 20% of your sales. It just depends on what your margin is. So there's no right or wrong answer to that. But, with a drum roll and I guess, risking being a show off, we can give people more leads than they could poke a stick at for less than $1,000. And I know that's a big claim, but we have a format that we use on Facebook at the moment that gives people leads of an avalanche nature across all platforms. And I'll tell you what it is. It's as simple as this. Over the years, I've probably been the king of contests down under, but not just down under, but even globally, because I did all of the scratch bingos for Rupert Murdoch's newspapers. So we did all of those big promotions. We did the Monopoly style promotions for McDonald's and scratch games for, KFC and 7-Eleven and all those big sweepstakes games. So I'm very well versed in running contests. And a little while ago, we had a client who had an aluminium fence business. So, if you think of a backyard, paling fences falling down, if it's a 30-year-old house, the company comes along and puts an aluminium fence up, right? And he said to me, Facebook wasn't working. And I looked at his ad and I knew why it wasn't working. It was a terrible ad. So we ran a contest on Facebook, and it was the ugliest back fence in Australia contest. And we zeroed in all the ads into the suburbs that had older homes that had fences falling down. And we invited them to be in with a chance to win a $5,000 aluminium fence makeover by simply taking a photo of their falling down fence and posting it up to our page. He had 6 months worth of leads within 3 days. And not only did he have leads, but they're red hot leads, because these people not only put their hand up and said, I've got a crappy back fence, and here's a photo of it, right? Yeah. So when that happened, I thought, hang on, we're onto something here. So what we do now, we have a thing called,
Great idea.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's very simple. It's as simple as the red and green lights that we see in the car parks or shopping centres now, but that only came around a few years ago. So it's one of those things where you kick yourself for not thinking of it earlier, because it is brilliant. And any one of your viewers or listeners can swipe it and not give me a cent, because I'll tell you what the idea is. If they want help, they can get help, but they can do it themselves if they wanted to. All you do is you create a contest on Facebook or Instagram, whatever platform you want, but Facebook tends to be the one that we concentrate mostly on. And you have a contest to give away your product or service. Doesn't matter whether you're a financial advisor, so you give away a month's worth of your financial advice, or a health check with someone's finances. If you're selling furniture, you give away furniture. If you're if you're selling a swimming pool slide, you give away a swimming pool slide. And what happens, you give away your product or service, you run this contest over an 8-week period, or whatever we suggest 8 weeks. And what happens is that every week at Friday, you actually have a preliminary draw. And each of those Fridays throughout the 8 weeks, one person gets drawn, and those 8 people go through to the end of the 8 weeks, and then one of them gets drawn out to win the prize, right? But the reason why there's a weekly draw is that allows you on the Monday on week 2 to ring all the people who actually entered the contest on week 1, because they can only enter once, right? So therefore, the phone call to them is, look, Harry, I'm sorry you didn't win the swimming pool slide, but guess what? We've got some good news. We've got a special deal this week that if you get from us, we're going to give you a free vacation. And it has gone nuts. We had a company just 2 weeks ago that only came on board. They sell walking frames for senior people, and they gave away one of the walking frames with the wheels on it. And we were blown away, because he spent $40 a day on Facebook. So we're talking £20, all right? $40 a day on Facebook. He got 822 leads in 1 week from people in their 70s or 80s that wanted to win a walking frame, right? And guess what? He gave one away, but he had 821 leads, red hot leads. You don't enter to win a walking frame if you're a 25-year-old gym addict, right? So therefore, these are all people that need a walking frame. It's a red hot lead. He then follows them up. Now, he said to me, look, I can't get to them. I said, well, how many can you get to? He said, oh, maybe 400. So guess what we say to him? If you've got 800 leads at $40 a day in 1 week, then just spend $20 a day. See, after you've done it for the first week or two, you know what the leads are costing, and we're getting leads for him for 35 cents. So therefore, we just say, okay, if you only want 400 leads a week from now on, just spend $20 a day. Now, he's got a lead formula for life now, and whoever runs this has got a lead formula for life, because once it works, you just transport it to wherever you want on Facebook.
Yeah, 100%. And then, John, the last question, I'm talking about COVID, So what message do you have for the entrepreneurs that when things are going bad and there is a rough time, the first thing that everybody does is cutting the marketing budget, without knowing, because they see this like an expense, but it's not actually an expense, it's an investment, because this is your client acquisition strategy, your client acquisition path to bring clients. And if you reduce the budget, then you're gonna have less clients. You have less clients, you have less sales. If you have less sales, the business is gonna suffer. So what can, and this is what happened. So I was thinking that it's quite the opposite, right? If everybody's cutting the marketing budget, you should actually increase it, because these companies, Facebook, Google, all that, how they work for the advertising is like a bidding process. So a lot of company bids for the same ads, and that's what actually defines the price of the ads. But if everybody's cutting the budget, now the price for advertising is way cheaper. So you should do more of this, especially if everybody's stopping. But why everybody do otherwise, and why do you think that it is a missed opportunity, and why people, every time that there's fear out there, the first decision they take is cut the marketing budget and the sale, which is something that I don't think that is the right decision, especially in tough times. Is better to put the foot on the gas, because it's where more opportunity is, because it will be cheaper, correct?
Oh yeah, look, you and I are probably biased because of the fact that we, understand the power of marketing. And I've been there, believe me, and I'm sure you have too, whereby, you're down on your luck, you've been kicked in the guts, and therefore you don't have a lot of money to spend on marketing. So it's all very well for us, coaches or consultants or speakers to say, oh, never give up and just spend more money on marketing. And they say, well, where's the money? But I think, though, aside from, Sir Winston Churchill, when he was Prime Minister back in the wartime, he went back to one of the schools that he went to when he was a child, and it's a famous speech. One of the children asked him, what would you give us as a piece of advice? And he said, never, ever, 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 ever give up. It's quite a famous speech, actually. So aside from saying, look, if you're down and out, never give up, excuse me, and I know that's easy to say and not easy to do, but what I find is the best way out of being in a tough spot is look for joint ventures, because you may not have the money in the bank account to pay Mark Zuckerberg, but if you knocked on the door of some other people who could do a joint venture with you, then you might find that really gets you out of the hole pretty quickly. And that's what I've done. I still do it now. I mean, this holiday promotion is the hottest thing I've ever seen in terms of being a Happy Meal style incentive. And when Zuckerberg keeps on putting the prices up on Facebook, which means as our cost per lead might go from $30 or $40 up to $80 or $90, then I put the foot on the brakes for a little while. And what I'll do is I'll look for other coaches, consultants, people like you that have got a database, and I'll say to them, look, how about you present me on a webinar and I'll share the revenue with you. And we had one with a real estate company recently, and they had 162 people, real estate agents, registered for the webinar. And we had 96 turn up, which is about a 55 or 60% turn up rate, which is pretty good for a webinar, as you know. And we sold $90,000 worth of our products and services within that hour. And half of that went to the real estate coach who had that list. And this lady, her name was Lisa. And so she picked up $45,000 in an hour just by having me as a guest on her webinar. And of course, the next morning she rang me and said, hey, John, when can we do that again? So I didn't have to pay anything for that. All I did was to say to her, why don't you, when you're selling a digital product, and most of ours are, then you can afford to share 40 or 50% of your turnover. So I would say to anyone, if you've got a digital product in particular, and you're down on your luck, then look for someone who's got an audience that you would like to tap into and do a joint venture with them.
Yeah. So, John, if people are in love with our conversation, want to learn more from you, how can they find you and how this process works?
Okay. Probably if I give you a couple of web pages, the best one, if you wanted to have a chat with me, is my name is John Dwyer, but I get called JD. And the reason I'm saying that to you is that if you wanted to have a chat with me on Zoom, then just go to getmorejd.com, getmorejd.com, which is a ridiculous URL. I know my wife just sticks her fingers down her throat when she hears me say that. But what you will do then is you'll be able to book a call with me on Zoom and we can have a short discussion. If I can help you, I'd love to. So that's getmorejd.com. If you're interested in that Facebook contest formula, though, you might like to go to FB Contest Formula, that FB for Facebook, fbcontestformula.com, and that'll explain to you what it's all about. But last but not least, if you want the holiday program or you want to find out more details about that holiday program, then just go to my website, which is the instituteofwow.com.
Thank you so much. And with this, I want to thank you for all the valuable information you share with our audience. And for all our entrepreneurs listening, see you in our next episode of Unstoppable: How Brave Entrepreneurs like John break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
All the best. Thanks, Harry.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.